The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Well, hello. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
And I'm CJ.
And it is Monday in the Riv.
And it was a collective cluster to get online today.
Yeah, well, that's what happens when you're doing live stuff, not tape. Yeah. And we do have our little problems, but as usual, our non-Perel Steve fixed everything, and we're back.
We're back and running. That's it.
So it was a difficult weekend, I guess, for the families of those 13 service members.
I have something I have to say about that. Okay. Several family members asked that the president not be present at the transfer of the bodies. He showed up anyhow. And then to add insult to injury, the SOB turned around and kept checking his watch during the ceremony. They got it on camera. He's checking his watch because he had another press conference to be at after that.
Yeah, and you know what disturbed me about that just as much, CJ? He brought the whole crew that screwed up this operation with him. I mean, why not rub, and I think there were two people, I was told, I haven't seen it yet, but there were two people who I know that didn't show, but a couple of people made some really, really extremely damning comments about the president, and justifiably so. Look, this guy is just beyond belief. I mean, I don't know whether I think it's a combination of his cognitive impairment and the fact that he's a career politician that doesn't give a shit about anybody but himself and his political agenda. But I mean, this is disgraceful. Like you said, looking at his watch, bringing a whole crew that screwed this operation up, and just like being in a hurry to get out of there, because all it was again was a photo op. It was had to be there, and that is just fundamentally. And I heard another thing this morning that they called the lieutenant colonel, retired lieutenant, Green Beret lieutenant colonel, that got 500 people out with a bunch of volunteers. Now they're asking him to help them. We're paying these bureaucrats. They screwed this operation up. They'll never go, you'll never see that on mainstream media. They got this thing effed up to a fare thee well. And I mean, this is just it just continues to be a disgrace. And when I went online this morning, there were rockets being fired at the airport, according to news reports. Yep. So we're under fire, and we're not retaliating. The hell with the drones. Send in the 82nd and 101st and the 1st Marine Expeditionary Force and kick some Taliban butt. And I don't care what they call themselves. You fire on American troops. You hold Americans hostage. There should be some bodies in the streets in Kabul today.
Yeah, I agree. And the today on NBC, I heard a quote directly from President Trump's mouth that we cannot rush the evacuation of Afghanistan. We have to do it in a methodical manner. He said that in 2017. Didn't say that recently. He said that in 2017. Oh, I guess he was right. Oh, but because he didn't put it in a tweet, nobody listens.
They're lying, and they're covered up, and they know it. They had one of his cabinet on yesterday, and she talked about how there were contingency. They said that this withdrawal was predicated only on the Taliban cooperating.
Correct.
To negotiate with the government, no attacks on Americans. Otherwise, he was going to rain hell on their head. And that's why there was no casualties for 18 months. The great orange man that everybody hates, they were scared crapless. That's the problem. They were afraid of Donald Trump because they know Donald Trump's not a hollow husk.
Right.
That won't do anything. That'll walk around like Tim Conway and mumble, because that's what he does, and read a script. This is outrageous. This is a stain on America, and it's going to bring more deaths, not only of military personnel but of civilians, because there will be attacks on other places in Europe and in the United States because of the total incompetence and the perception of weakness that this president has brought down on the American public. And to watch him stand there with that Austin and all his half his cabinet were there, all sitting there looking at the ground. They should be ashamed of themselves. They have absolutely no morality, no empathy. And, it's just disgraceful. But then again, why not? They're politicians. This is what you got. This is what you got. They don't care. Let's face it. Joe's rich. His entire family's rich, playing off his name and power, and nobody cares. Nancy's running $30,000 a plate dinners at Napa, talking about Women's Day, not mentioning the loss of life of our national treasures, our military, and they don't care. And I don't know when people are going to wake up. It's just like recently, this weekend, we had another politician find his way to Fall River from Newton. And what did he do? Oh, Paul Coogan's a great man. Oh, I'm fighting over Fall River with what's the other pinhead from the King? Markey. I'm fighting with Markey because I want Fall River. Of course you want Fall River, because they always vote Democrat. The two of you are fighting over Fall River. If there's a decent conservative, independent, or Republican running, this Fall River may be the pivotal city in an election. Of course you want it, you Newton phony.
Well, it was interesting because he not only spoke the praises of Paul Coogan, he spoke the praises of Carol Fiola. I have a great working relationship with Mayor Paul Coogan and State Representative Carol Fiola, and I want to keep that relationship going. I want all of Fall River. Meanwhile, the main thought process is that Fall River and New Bedford be together and have the entire Cape, so that we're contiguous.
Yeah,
which makes more sense than the way Auchincloss is going, because it goes like this, all over the place.
Yeah, well, that's what they do. They redistrict to get themselves, and of course, both Democratic congressmen want that. They want a place that there's a guarantee win.
Right.
That's what it's got nothing to do with the people. Listen, the only time people from Newton ever find Fall River is at election time. Okay? So don't give me that crap. He's also one of the few people that was singing the praises of Biden's handling of this catastrophe.
Yes, he has. Yes, he has.
So let's call it like we see it. This guy is another Newton phony that comes down here at election time, and then our mayor, I guess he doesn't have a good enough record to run on. He's dragging everybody down. Now he's bringing down congressmen. They're all going to sing his praise, and I work well with him. He didn't say about how the mayor works for Fall River. That's what I want to see. I want to see him tell me what he's done to lower my taxes, lower my fees, and make my life better, make crime less prevalent, clean up our streets. I want to see what he's done. I don't want it because I don't go to movies. I don't go in car parades. So that's what a politician does when they got nothing to run on. I remember when they used to bring down Billy Bolger, Tommy Finneran, all the, they had real power. Speaker of the House, they're bringing them all down. Now he's bringing everybody down. This is 1950s politics again.
I got to bring up something. I got to bring up something.
Yeah.
Do you remember when we had Republican representation in Fall River?
Sure, Margaret Heckler.
Yes. Wasn't Fall River in a better place financially,
Absolutely.
tax-wise, and everything?
Absolutely.
And I'm not saying that because I'm a Republican or I'm a Democrat or I am an unenrolled voter. But I'm just pointing out a fact that when we had Republican representation, Fall River was in a much better place financially, tax-wise, environmentally. We were in a better position.
No, you're right. Because listen, years ago you could find moderate Democrats who were semi-conservative fiscally and about spending the taxpayers' money. Now it's like throw money at everything. Just give everybody free stuff. Cut them a check from the opera money. Do this. Use the money to bribe them. Then they won't pay attention to the fact that we're running this city into the ground and continuing to run it into the ground. Years ago, you could find maybe, even though it was like finding a needle in a haystack, you could find maybe a fiscally conservative Democrat. But today, it's like finding a dodo bird. They've been extinct for a long time. And the thing about Republicans is, look, I've been an independent my entire life. You can go back and look at my voting record. I've always been an independent. And the fact is, I did vote in Republican primaries and Democratic primaries, and then switched back when there was somebody who I was supporting and I felt was doing a good job, and I was going to vote for them. But I've been an independent my whole life. And I know you were that nasty word that starts with an R.
Yes, I was for a while.
Point in time. But the reality is that most Republicans are more fiscally conservative. Look at Taunton. Now, they got a Republican state rep who ran for mayor, and Taunton's doing well.
Right.
Taunton's doing well. Why? Because you got a mayor there who doesn't think that the answer to everything is hire all your friends, give them high-paying jobs, raise taxes and fees, and then take a little bit of money and throw it at them. Oh, here's a holiday. Here's another thing. Here's more money. Oh, can I use the opera money to give everybody in the city a check? Well, that's all they do. And they don't realize, and obviously, people in Fall River got to start waking up. You can't dance without paying a band. And the fact is, when they're throwing money at you, they're just giving you a little bit of the money back, and they're going to take it out. And they're going to take it out in barrel loads in the long run with taxes and overrides and all kinds of other, spending like a drunken sailor, but using your money.
Exactly. And this week, some free money ends. Big free money pot ends. The $300 extra in the unemployment benefits comes to an end on the 4th. Wait, it gets even one better. Your benefits itself may run out because there was extensions in the benefits which run out on the 4th. So I haven't heard the numbers from Massachusetts, but I heard in Rhode Island there's 58,000 people that are affected by that. 58,000 people received that $300 extra. They're going to lose that. And something like 44 or 45,000 people are going to lose their benefits totally. And that's the majority of their unemployment compensation claims. Yeah. So that's a big issue. Now, that's Rhode Island. We're not too far away. What's Massachusetts going to be like? What happens when all these people turn around and they don't have that $300? Or worse, they don't have unemployment at all. You want to see them start scrambling to get a job? Maybe, maybe not.
Well, if half of them do, at least some of the restaurants can reopen fully.
Exactly.
We've got all these businesses that can't open.
Right.
They don't have the help, or they open it at half capacity because they can't get the help. I mean, I went for a hot dog yesterday in Somerset. That's got the drive-through because I had the dog and I always get her a hot dog. And but I drove through there, and I when I went around the back where the drive-through is, there was no. I know the owner's car. I know the people. They've been going there for a long time, and so I said, "Oh, there's no cars. Oh, don't tell me." I got back. I got to the window. Closed on Sunday. They used to be open on Sunday. They were open 7 days a week.
Right.
He used to have people help. He's got no help. He's not
Right.
going to work 7 days a week. He does really well at that place. And the fact is that he went, hey, well, hell with this. I'm getting a day off. So, I mean, now these people are going to go, well, it's time for me to stop sitting on my butt. And if I got to pay my bills, you know, but that's what the Democrats do. Oh, you can't throw them out of your building. You can't do anything. We keep throwing money at them.
That's the other thing that came to an end.
That's right.
The Supreme Court ruled that the CDC has no authority to restrict evictions. So there are no moratoriums in effect. Therefore, your landlord can get rid of you. But here's what the court has done. And they've done it in Massachusetts. So if you're a property owner, listen carefully. If you're going to evict a tenant, they send you to the eviction diversion because they don't want to evict the people. They want you to apply for rental assistance to get that money that they owe you back. But here's the catch. If you apply for that, if you take that money, you have to apply for it. But if you take it, you have to agree to not evict them for 6 months to a year or for the amount of money they've given you. Hey, if they haven't paid me the rent all this time, I don't want to keep them. I mean, I've been lucky. My tenants have paid their rent. But there are a lot of tenants out there that haven't. And I don't want to hear the excuse that they couldn't afford to pay it because you were getting an extra $300 a week in unemployment compensation. Okay? That's $1,200 a month. Yeah. Even if your rent's $1,400, just with the extra $300, you could have taken $200 out of your regular unemployment checks. Well, so there's no excuse for not paying rent.
Well, CJ, I know you have tenants, and obviously, as someone who does have tenants, and I know a lot of people that have income property, you don't throw out good tenants. I mean, if there was a tenant that was having a problem, you would try to work with them. But the problem is all these people were collecting more money on it when they weren't working than they were when they were working, and they had to pay your rent. And most of these people that were being evicted would probably have been evicted anyway because they're terrible tenants. They probably didn't pay their rent. They destroyed the property. You know, I don't know too many landlords, unless they're absentee landlords, which Fall River now is really making the norm, that don't try to work with people who have a problem. I mean, most landlords would give people a break. I know other people who have done that there, you know, but as I said, most of these people are making more money now than they did when they were working. And but hey, it is what it is. But the political season is raining, I guess, a week tomorrow, a couple of weeks tomorrow. It's the 3 weeks tomorrow. It's the primary. And so it's getting close to the primary. So all I can tell you people is get out there and vote. Vote who, I'm not telling you who to vote for. You vote who you think will do the best job for you. I mean, I have already made up my decision, and and like I said, bringing down Auchincloss, another Newton, is to me actually losing my vote because, I'm waiting for someone from the southeastern region, from Fall River and New Bedford, one of the peons, one of the low-class people that they look down on when they're who waits on them when they're having their Napa Valley parties, $30,000 a plate parties, all these elite, all the banker friends and the lawyer friends and the people who look down on the regular people. Those are the people that come down here to campaign for their friends, to keep them in office and make statements like, I work well with him. Really? What have you done? What have you done? And what has he done in if you gave him money for Fall River for relief for me, I haven't seen it yet, Mr. Auchincloss. So that kind of stuff doesn't get my vote. It may get some people's votes, but you got to start paying attention, voter. Those people do not work for you. They work for themselves.
I'll tell you now, any U.S. representative that I would support, the first thing he would have to do is get us some money for the CSO project, enough to cover the majority of the cost. That is a court-ordered project.
That's
with
right.
no funding from the federal government. And we lost the funding from the federal government because an employee failed to file the paperwork on time.
You're right. We should get the majority of that money from the feds, and that employee should pay the rest.
There you go. There's an idea. We'll take it out of his pension.
That's right. But yeah, but you're right. Like I said, look, these people are, they're ridiculous. It's like, it's the only time you ever see these people is at election time. You can't figure out that this is nothing more than a con game. Oh, I get along good with him. How do you know what kind of job he's at? I'll tell you what. What's his, whatever his first name is, but I don't care.
Jake Auchincloss.
Jake. Okay, Jake. Why don't you come down and walk around Fall River at night up in Corky Row for a couple of weeks? See how long it takes you to start ducking bullets. And then you can run back and hide in your Newton mansion.
Why don't you live in a 3-decker in the Flint for a while?
Yeah. Run it. Live in a 3-decker with a couple of drug dealers on the first floor, couple of hookers on a third floor, and you can get a second floor apartment, okay? And see how it is to live like normal people, because people from Newton, they don't get it. They never get it, and they never will get it. It's like Ocasio-Cortez, rich, growing up, private schools, private college, and now she's pontificating to everyone. We have to bring in everybody in the world. I want at least 200,000, immigrants in this country. We have to keep the border open. We have to do this. But I'll tell you what, when Sandy gets about 50 migrants to live in her houses, in her parents' houses, maybe I'll pay attention to her. But nobody gets near Nancy Pelosi's mansion or Lori Lightfoot's mansion in Chicago. She's got it cordoned off with police while she tries to defund them. Ocasio-Cortez, all the rest of them, Tlaib, they're the first ones. Look at Jesus. I mean, Cortez wanted the entire United States National Guard to surround the Capitol because she's still being traumatized, even though she was a quarter of a mile away from the Capitol building. She was in another building. But just the sheer fact that there was somebody she thought was going to hurt her, call in the National Guard, call in the Air Force, let's get an airstrike, put wire around the Capitol, more cops, get more Capitol Police to shoot people. That's another one. You see the cop that shot the person?
Yep, he did.
Came out. And, of course, the mainstream media gives him, oh, yeah, you're a hero. Yeah, it took a real hero to shoot an unarmed 115-pound woman that was climbing through a window with no weapons.
Who's a vet.
Yeah, who was a veteran. That's right. So, yeah, you're a real hero. He's getting out in front of this one, and the mainstream media is shoring him up. Think about if that was a person of color, and he was a he was a white police officer.
Right.
But then again, no, it doesn't count. I'm wrong. I'm sorry. I apologize. That was totally, it would have happened exactly the same way, because that would have been the only time you could have shot a person of color, and a white police officer could have done it because he was protecting politicians. Then it's okay. Doesn't matter. Because he shot a Trump supporter. And that's okay, according to them, on numerous occasions. They've had reporters say live that Trump supporters should be put in jail, they should be killed. They're all terrorists.
And that's what they're doing right now. They're putting them in jail. They're charging them. They actually put a business out of business here in Fall River.
Yep. Yeah.
That family grocery outlet that was in the old Rite Aid building next to South Coast Plaza.
Yeah.
Yesterday was their last day. They closed. They got put out of business.
Yeah. Well, they got more people they got more people. They got 60-year-old elderly people that were walking around the Capitol still in jail from January, while the rioters, some of whom murdered people in Portland and Seattle, were bailed out by Kamala Harris and her crew.
Right.
So anybody that thinks that this isn't a class war and a political war, over in Afghanistan, you got the Shiites, the Sunnis, and the Kurds. Over here, you got the Republicans and the Democrats, and those sensitive woke Democrats think it's okay to kill somebody with a different opinion, because you can shoot people who supported Donald Trump.
Yeah, that's been something that's been bothering me for a long time. I mean, whether you liked the man or didn't like the man, or you supported the man or didn't support the man, okay? Politics went like Fall River politics goes, where it becomes a super blood sport. But in the Trump-Biden case, it did become a blood sport. People died for that election. People went to jail over that election. That is not what American politics is supposed to be. That's not what American government is supposed to be like. Now, granted, Trump didn't help the matter once he lost the election. He didn't help the matter. But he did what he felt was best for the country, especially when he didn't attend the inauguration and instead left the country, or I should say left Washington early, before the inauguration, which some would say is a good thing, some would say is a bad thing. I think a good thing would have been to be there with the other former presidents and just say, okay, calm transfer of power, peaceful transfer of power. This is what America is based on. If I can, I'll run again in 4 years and see what happens. That's what you do.
No, you're right. But listen, this is why people they don't look at the forest. They look at the tree. And I've said numerous times on this show, I wouldn't hire an auto mechanic because he's a nice guy, or a plumber. And you know something? If my plumber or auto mechanic made crazy tweets and he was, his personalities was a little too much, I'd say, okay, I'm not going to go out and socialize with him, but I'll tell you what, I want him to fix my plumbing on my car because he's really good at it.
Right.
Well, you can say what you want about Trump. Trump had the economy on full steam. He had in 2017 said we were going to withdraw the troops, which the public wanted, from Afghanistan, and he had a plan to do it. He had our economy straightened out. He had Afghanistan under control with 2,500 troops and air cover. He had this country firing on all cylinders. We were oil independent. Look at the gas prices. Look at the inflation. The Democrats have turned this country upside down, and it is a disaster. But they're the ones who attacked him. Well, for what? Because they didn't like his personality. You know something?
Right.
He did a lot of things I didn't like, too. A lot of things I didn't like. I thought those tweets were ridiculous. And half the time he was... But the problem was when the giant orange man said, I'm going to bomb you, guess what? The Taliban believed him. Now,
right.
When Joe shuffles in like Tim Conway and mumbles a script, nobody believes anything.
Well, when that guy said he was going to do it, he did it. There was no pussyfooting around.
Yeah.
And I think that's why other countries paid attention. I mean, he had a conversation with Korea, with North Korea. He had a conversation with Putin. He had conversations with the Taliban. Come on. He did something that nobody else would do. And this president won't do. So it is what it is. Well, everybody, we're at the end of our show. I want to thank you for inviting us into your home as usual. And remember, it's election season. Today or tomorrow is the last day to register to vote.
And also,
or to change your address.
There are 13 of our bravest who are going to be interred at some point. They came home. They're home, and it's time to give them the honor they deserve. So
exactly.
Keep them in your thoughts.
Exactly. Thank you for watching. Remember, stay safe, stay angry, and hold your politicians accountable. Have a great day.